Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my budget Traptrix Yugioh deck profile for post-structure deck, Beware of Traptrix. I want to do a version of the deck along with the original version I have done with a deck that you can make out of the 3 structure decks, or just 3 copies of the Traptrix Beware of Traptrix structure deck. It's a really awesome build still. You can stick to your pure Traptrix lineup along with some of the cards we got from the structure deck. So if you're just looking to play straight out of the gate with what you have from the decks. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for our Traptrix monsters, I'm running 3 copies of Traptrix Pudica. Unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps, you can only use each of the following effects of Traptrix Pudica once per turn. When this card is normal summon, you can add 1 Traptrix Garden from your deck to your hand. If this card is special summon, you can target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it, and also during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon 1 of their banished monsters, getting rid of a resource on the field while also being able to search for our main go-to spell in the deck is very, very important for the setup of your Traptrix plays, giving you all the additional benefits of that field spell. So just a definite 3 of using this card. We're also running 3 copies of Traptrix Vermilio, but it's unaffected by the effect of whole normal traps. When this card is normal summon, you can add 1 whole normal trap from your deck to your hand. And if this card is special summon, you can target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls to destroy that target. So you either have the search off of its normal summon, or if you special summon Vermilio off of one of your other Traptrix monsters, you can destroy a spell or trap that your opponent controls. Really, really good for all of these options, especially when you set up with some of your Link or Xyz Traptrix monsters. For some of the lower numbers for the Traptrix, we're also running 2 copies of Traptrix Arachnocampa. Unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps, the first time each set card in your spell and trap card zone will be destroyed by a card effect each turn. It is not. And during the main phase, if you control a Traptrix monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for insect or plant monsters. You will use this effect of Arachnocampa once per turn. It's a protection card, and then just an easy special summon onto the field as well, just as an additional resource, because you will benefit from some of the other Traptrix plays we do in the deck, but you still want to be able to utilize your Traptrix Arachnocampa for more of a setup on the field if your opponent does, let's say, hand trap one of your already present Traptrix monsters on the field. We also run 2 copies of Traptrix Dionea. It's unaffected by whole normal traps. When it's normal summon, you can target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it, and basically summon it in defense. So if you special summon Traptrix Pudica, you have the banish play. If you have the Vermilio special summon, you have the spell and trap destruction play. Both good options for both of these cards. And we also run 2 Traptrix Mantis for the option when it's normal summon to add 1 Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. So you could just even add your Arachnocampa off of this search, and once per turn you can target 1 set spell trap you control, return that target to the hand, then you can set 1 trap from your hand to switch out some of the more important ones, let's say you have in your hand, with ones that really aren't doing too much on the field as well. With the last of the Traptrix monsters for the deck being 1 Traptrix Vesiculo. It's unaffected by the effect of whole normal traps. You can only use one of the following effects of Vesiculo once per turn, and only once that turn you can send 1 set trap you control to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. If you control no cards in your spell and trap card zone, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a whole normal trap in your graveyard instead. So we only run 1 in comparison. You have an easier special summon Arachnocampa on the field, but being able to recycle a whole normal trap from the graveyard is definitely a big benefit of this card. With the last of the monsters that we're running in the deck, just 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring available in the Beware of Traptrix structure deck. So just an easy option to add as a hand trap to stop any of your opponent's search or graveyard setups. Moving on now to the spells. We don't really have a big spell lineup in the deck. We run 1 copy of Traptrix Garden. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. The first time each insect or plant monster you control will be destroyed by battle each turn. It is not destroyed, and you can banish 1 monster you control to special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use this effect of Traptrix Garden once per turn. So that additional normal summon will give you added options, whether you were to special summon Traptrix Mantis or normal summon it. You'll get the normal summon search of both that and Vermilio in 1 turn, or even your Traptrix Pudica for all of these plays, whether the search be for your spell to add this to your hand and then activating this and then having 1 additional normal summon and then being able to use those cards to go into that play. And also 2 copies of Trap Tantalizing Tune. Discard 1 level 4 insect plant or monster or 1 normal trap to draw 2 cards, and you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished level 4 insect or plant monsters or normal traps placed on the bottom of your deck. So it's a recycle card, but also a draw 2, because you will use up your hand pretty quickly in this deck just off of your trap plays or your monster setup on the field. So at least you can rely on some of the additional cards you may have in your hand that aren't doing anything to get a draw 2 off of it. And then the last of our spells is just 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. If you do go second in this deck, you just need a way to be able to at least have your back row on the field and not have any fear of any of the back row that your opponent may have before you go off of your own plays. Moving on now to the traps, which are the big part of the deck as a whole. We're running 3 copies of Floodgate Trap Hole. Just a great interrupter. When your opponent summons a monster, change that monster to face down defensive position. Monsters changed to face down defensive position by this effect cannot change their battle position. So your opponent can't use them for any link plays, cutting off a big section of a good majority of decks. If they have the fusion spell, they can still go into those plays, but synchro plays, Xyz plays, link plays are all off the table with Floodgate Trap Hole. We're also running 2 copies of the new Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. If your opponent has special summoned a monster this turn, target 1 monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack, destroy it. Then if you have a whole normal trap in your graveyard, you can banish 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard. You can only activate 1 Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare per turn. So it gets rid of a graveyard resource and then also sets you up with a option to destroy an opponent's monster, and it doesn't have to be right when they special summon that monster. You can just wait. So if your opponent has special summon, wait for them to go into that bigger monster, not having to guess with some of the other traps like when they special summon that monster, and just being able to go for the one that they really don't want to be destroyed. And we're also running 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole, just a destruction banish with a monster with 1,500 or more attack being summoned onto the field, and also 2 copies of Grave Digger's Trap Hole. When your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or graveyard, or when your opponent's banished monster effect is activated, negates effect, and if you do, inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent. So a great option just to, have a win against your opponent if you go into time as well, since you can just hit for a burn damage, so a lot of them don't ever see it coming as well. With this card, just activating that monster effect, so even if your opponent tries to Ash Blossom or that play, you can negate the effect and then inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent with this card. We're also running 2 copies of Traptrix Yugioh, or with this card, you can activate this card at the turn with set by discarding 1 whole normal trap, special summon it in defense position as a normal monster, plant, Earth, level 4, and this card is not treated as a trap, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So being a trap, you do have a quicker play style off of this card as well, just being able to banish it and summon off that Traptrix monster. And if you go for cards like Boudica, you have a banish interruption right then and there, special summoning this card onto the field. And we also run 3 copies of Evenly Matched. For the added playstyle, if you do have to go second against your opponent, you have options like Harpy's Feather Duster, and then being able to use this card against them, and then clear out their board, and then go for your play. Also, 3 copies of Traptrix. We ran plenty of multiples for all of the traps in the deck, so being able to banish one to get access to it much more quickly with Traptrix is always an added bonus. And also, to finish off the main deck, we're running 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine. Just like the monster setup with your Traptrix Yugioh, you have the play to just set this card if you have no traps in your graveyard and activate it on that turn. Also, activating some of your other cards like your Traptrix Sarah, and then going from there, being the fact that this is a level 4 monster. That is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. You can get a complete 15-card extra deck with all the different extra deck monsters we got for the Traptrix with the structure deck. We're running 3 copies of Traptrix Sarah, needing 1 non-link Traptrix monster. The link summon of this card is unaffected by trap effects. If a normal trap is activated, you can special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than this card you control. Or if your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can set 1 whole normal trap directly from your deck. So you have both of these plays, and also you can only use each of the following effects, so you can at least get the special summon and a whole trap setup on the field using your Traptrix Sarah. I also run 2 copies of Traptrix Kalaria. With this card, it's unaffected by trap effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Kalaria once per turn. After you activate a whole normal trap, you can set 1 instead of sending it to the graveyard, so you can set the one you activate, and during the end phase you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense, giving you once again more options off of those resources and having that 1 additional Traptrix monster to then be able to go into your Traptrix Adipus. For this card, needing 2 monsters including an insect or plant, this link summon card is unaffected by trap effects. All Traptrix monsters you control gain 1,000 attack while you have a normal trap in your graveyard, and once per turn you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect and plant plant monsters you control and negate their effects until the end of this turn. And then you can apply this effect. Banish one whole normal trap in your graveyard to destroy one of those targeted face-up cards. It's a real setup card that definitely you'll make use of for all of the different plays. Its link arrows allow you to go into your other Traptrix Link monsters on top of this card as well to continue those other recycle and search plays also. I also run 3 copies of Traptrix Yugioh. While this card has material, it's unaffected by trap effects and activate effects of other monsters with the same type as this card's material. You can only use each of the following effects of Yugioh once per turn. You can detach one card from this card to add one Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. If a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can attach one of those monsters to this card as material. So being able to take your opponent's monster as material also makes it so if your opponent is running a deck with all the same type of monster, this card will be unaffected thanks to the material that you attached on using this card. I also run 3 copies of Traptrix Allomeris. With this card, it needs 2 or more level 4 monsters. It's unaffected by the trap effects while it has material. Being able to detach 2 to special summon 1 level 4 insect or plant monster from your graveyard, or if an opponent's monster leaves the field because of your card effect and is now in the graveyard or banished, you can detach 1 material from this card, target one of them, and special summon it to your field. More resource taking, and also just being able to get some of your other Traptrix monsters on the field thanks to this card. And 2 copies of Traptrix Reflegia for the added setup of other whole normal traps by sending them to the graveyard, and also being able to activate them if they meet the conditions. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, like I said with my previous video, if you just start off with your Traptrix Boudica, you can have the normal summon this card be the search for your Traptrix Garden, then activating this card, and then going into the Link 1 play of your Traptrix Sarah, then with Sarah on the field and your additional Traptrix Garden setup during the main phase, being able to normal summon an additional card, you can normal summon out your go-to next normal summon. If you have Murmillo, it's all the better. You can activate Murmillo to gain a search of a whole normal trap to your hand, and then this will activate also your Traptrix Sarah if you activate a Traptrix monster effect to set another whole normal trap. So on top of that, you have 2 searches off of both of these monsters, and then if you activate one, you have a Traptrix special summon, or you can even just go for the next setup, which is your Link to play into your Traptrix Calaria, because then with this card during the end phase, target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summoning. If you either go for your Boudica, you'll have a banish your opponent's card, or your Murmillo for a spell and trap destruction if you did end up going second against them. Otherwise, you have both of these cards being able to have an activation against your opponent for the following turn. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, this is just a budget version of the deck. I do have the full version of what I would run for a full competitive Traptrix build as well, so be sure to check that out also. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.